My wife's friends convinced her to fake a breakup test. My response made her flee in embarrassment. Wrong husband to test, ladies. The text came in at 2:46 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember the time because I was in the middle of a budget review meeting, the kind where everyone pretends spreadsheets are fascinating. My phone buzzed against the conference table. I glanced down. Sarah, we need to talk when you get home. 6 words, that's all it took. I stared at the screen for 3 seconds. 4 years of marriage, and she'd never sent me those words. Not once. We talked about everything: bills, groceries, her mother's health, my work stress, whether we should finally replace the washing machine that sounded like a helicopter landing in our basement. But we need to talk? That phrase doesn't show up in healthy marriages without a reason. I felt something shift in my chest. Not panic, not yet, just awareness. Like when you're driving and you hear a sound from the engine that wasn't there yesterday. I texted back, everything okay? 3 minutes passed. The meeting droned on around me. Jenkins from accounting was explaining variance analysis. I watched the dots appear and disappear on my screen. She was typing, deleting, typing again. Sarah, we'll talk tonight. That's when I knew something was wrong, something was coming, and I had approximately 3 hours to prepare for whatever storm was about to hit our living room. I tried to focus on the meeting. I really did, but my mind kept circling back to that text. The phrasing, the timing, the deliberate vagueness. Sarah wasn't vague. She was direct, sometimes painfully so. She'd tell me if my haircut looked bad. She'd tell me if dinner tasted off. She'd tell me if I was being annoying during her work calls. This calculated distance? This wasn't her. Jenkins was still talking. Something about Q3 projections. I nodded along, contributing nothing. My phone sat face up on the table. No new messages. 20 minutes later, the meeting finally ended. I gathered my laptop, my notebook, my coffee mug that said "World's Okayest Husband," a gag gift from Sarah last Christmas that I'd actually grown fond of. I walked back to my office, closed the door, sat down, stared at the text again. We need to talk when you get home. I opened our message history, scrolled back, looking for signs, for breadcrumbs, for anything that might explain this. 2 days ago, can you pick up milk on your way home? 3 days ago, lol, that meme you sent is so dumb, with 3 crying laughing emojis. 4 days ago, I love you, have a good day at work. Nothing. No warnings, no cold shoulders, no distance, which meant either something happened very suddenly or something had been brewing that I'd completely missed. I didn't like either option. I left work at 5 and sharp. Didn't stay late like I usually did. Didn't stop for gas, even though the light was on. I drove home on autopilot, my mind running through possibilities like a computer program, testing different scenarios. Affair? Unlikely. Sarah worked from home as a freelance graphic designer. Her schedule was transparent. We shared locations. I knew where she was, always. Not because I tracked her. We just never thought to turn it off after enabling it for convenience years ago. Money problems. We were comfortable, not rich, but stable. Dual income, no kids yet, reasonable mortgage. No secret debts that I knew of. I just checked our accounts last week. Everything normal. Health issue? She'd just had her annual physical 2 months ago. Clean bill, no concerns. She'd even bragged about her cholesterol levels. Family emergency? No. She would have called. She would have told me immediately if something happened to her parents or her sister. Which left what? Relationship issue. Had to be. But what? We'd been fine, better than fine. We'd had date night last Friday, watched a movie on Saturday, had brunch on Sunday, laughed together, talked about maybe starting to try for kids next year. Everything had been normal. So what changed between Sunday brunch and Tuesday afternoon? I pulled into our driveway at 5:43 p.m. Her car was there. The living room light was on. Everything looked normal, aggressively normal, like a stage set waiting for actors. I sat in the car for 30 seconds, hands on the steering wheel, and did something I rarely do. I prayed I was wrong about all of it. Then I got out, walked to the door, used my key, stepped inside. "Sarah?" I called out. "In here." Her voice came from the living room, flat, controlled. I set my keys in the bowl by the door, took off my jacket, hung it on the hook. Normal routine, everything normal. I walked into the living room. She was sitting on the couch, not curled up like she usually was when working on her laptop. Not relaxed, relaxed with her feet tucked under her. Sitting, upright, hands folded in her lap, back straight, like she was at a job interview. She'd been waiting, rehearsing maybe. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Hey." Her eyes met mine briefly, then looked away. I took off my shoes, walked into the living room, looked at the couch where she sat, then at the chair across from her. Some instinct told me distance was required here. I sat in the chair. "So," I said, "what's going on?" She took a breath, a deep one, the kind people take before jumping into cold water, the kind that says I'm about to do something difficult. "I've been thinking a lot lately," she started. Her voice was steady but quiet. "About us, about where we are, where we're going." I said nothing, just watched her, waited, let her talk. Her hands were trembling slightly. She noticed, clasped them tighter. Her knuckles went white. And I don't think I'm happy anymore. 5 words that changed everything. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Heavy, like I'd swallowed a stone. But I kept my face neutral, kept my breathing steady. "Okay," I said slowly, "can you tell me more about that?" She looked away, toward the window. The light was fading outside, that golden hour just before dusk. The kind of light photographers love, the kind that makes everything look softer than it is. "I feel like we've become roommates," she said. "We don't connect like we used to. Everything's just routine. Wake up, work, dinner, TV, sleep, repeat." "I see." My voice was calm, distant, even to my own ears, like I was listening to someone else speak. "How long have you felt this way?" "A few months." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were dry. No tears. That struck me as strange, but I filed it away, noted it. Maybe longer, I don't know. It kind of crept up on me. "And you're just telling me now." It wasn't a question, it was an observation. "I didn't know how to bring it up," she said. "I kept thinking maybe it would pass. Maybe I was just stressed or tired or I don't know, but it hasn't passed." I nodded slowly, processed. Let the words sink in. "So what are you saying? You want counseling? You want to work on this? You want to try dating each other again?" She bit her lip. Another deep breath, her hands unclasped, then clasped again. She was nervous, really nervous. I think I need space, time apart, to figure out what I want." There it was, the real message. I sat back in the chair, let the silence stretch. Looked at her, really looked at her. Sarah, my wife. The woman I'd married 4 years ago in a ceremony at her parents' backyard because we didn't want to spend money on a venue when we could use it for a down payment on a house instead. The woman who cried during every Pixar movie, even the bad ones. Who made these elaborate Sunday breakfasts when she was happy? Pancakes from scratch, bacon, fresh fruit, the works. Who sang off key in the shower and didn't care who heard? Who laughed at terrible puns? Who fell asleep during every movie we watched at home but insisted on finishing them the next day? She wasn't crying now. She looked nervous, uncomfortable. Guilty, maybe, but not heartbroken. And that's when something clicked in my brain, a piece falling into place, a pattern emerging. "How much space are we talking about?" I asked, my tone even. Clinical almost. She blinked. "What?" "Space. You said you need space." "I'm asking for specifics. Are we talking a few days, a week, a month? Are you moving out? Am I moving out? Are we separating legally? Well, what does space look like?" I haven't figured that out yet." "Okay." I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, looked directly at her. "Let me ask you something else. Is there someone else?" "No." Quick, too quick, defensive. "No, nothing like that. This isn't about another person." "You sure? Because this feels pretty sudden for someone who's supposedly been unhappy for months. Usually people try to fix things before they ask for space." "I'm sure, Marcus, I swear. This isn't about someone else. It's about us. About me figuring out what I need." I nodded, studied her face. "Have you talked to anyone about this? A therapist? A friend? Anyone?" Her eyes shifted just slightly, just for a second. But I saw it. I've talked to some friends, yeah. Jessica and Amanda. They've been supportive." Jessica and Amanda. Of course. Jessica, who'd been divorced twice by age 30, who treated relationships like competitive sports, who posted Instagram stories about knowing your worth and not settling. Amanda, who'd been with her boyfriend for 6 years and spent most of that time complaining about him to anyone who'd listen but refused to either fix the relationship or leave it. These were Sarah's advisors. And what did Jessica and Amanda say? I asked. They just, they listened. They said I should trust my feelings. Trust your feelings, I repeated. That's their advice. Trust your feelings and ask for space. They said if I'm unhappy, I need to prioritize myself. Uh-huh. I stood up. She watched me, uncertain. Where are you going? To get some water. Give me a minute. I walked into the kitchen, opened the cabinet, took out a glass, filled it slowly from the tap, drank half of it. My mind was racing, but my hands were steady. 4 years of marriage. 7 years together total. I knew this woman. I knew her patterns, her tells, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was lying about something small, like whether she'd eaten the last cookie. The way her voice went up half an octave when she was excited about a new design project. The way she avoided eye contact when she felt guilty on her show, the way she was acting right now. This didn't feel like a woman ending her marriage. This felt like a woman performing a script, following instructions, playing a role. I finished the water, set the glass in the sink, walked back into the living room. Sarah was in the same position, hands folded, waiting. I sat down, looked at her directly. Sarah, I said quietly, is this a test? Her eyes widened, just for a second. Then she recovered, but not fast enough. What? No. Marcus, I'm being serious. Because if it is, I need you to tell me right now. It's not a test. Why would you even think that? Did someone tell you to do this? She blinked rapidly. No one told me to do anything. Your friends? Silence. I watched her. She looked away, toward the window again, anywhere but at me. Sarah, I don't know what you're talking about, she said, but her voice was weaker now. Did Jessica and Amanda tell you to test me? To fake a breakup and see how I'd react? That's ridiculous. Is it? I stood up, walked to the mantel, picked up the framed photo of us from our wedding day. We looked so young, so happy, so certain. Because here's what I think is happening. I think someone, probably Jessica, because this feels like her energy, told you about some TikTok trend or Reddit post about testing your partner's loyalty. You fake a breakup. See if he fights for you. See if he begs. See if he gets angry. See if he cries. Then you get to laugh about it with your friends over wine and feel secure that I really love you because I had the correct emotional response to being manipulated. Her face had gone pale. How close am I? You're way off, she said, but her voice cracked. Her hands were shaking worse now. I set the photo down, turned to face her. Sarah, look at me. She did, barely. Her eyes were starting to water now, but not from sadness, from stress, from being caught. I'm going to ask you one more time, and I need you to answer honestly. Is this real or is this a test? She stared at me for 5 seconds, 10, 15. Her jaw was tight. Her breathing was shallow. I could see her mind working, calculating, deciding whether to double down or admit it. Finally, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. It was just supposed to be, but it was just to see. I nodded slowly. And there it is. She stood up fast. Marcus, it's not what you think. Then what is it? Jessica and Amanda were talking about this thing they saw online, and they said it was a good way to see how your partner really feels. And I wanted to know if you'd fight for me, okay? If you'd care enough to what? My voice was sharp now. Controlled, but sharp, like a scalpel. To beg and to cry? To chase you around the living room, proclaiming my undying love? To prove myself to you like I'm auditioning for the role of your husband? To show emotion, she snapped back. Her voice rose. You're always so calm about everything, so logical, so measured. Sometimes I don't even know if you care. You just accept everything. You never fight for anything. So you thought you'd manipulate me to find out. It's not manipulation. What else would you call it? I kept my voice level, even, but I took a step closer. Not aggressive, just present. You just told me you were unhappy in our marriage. You said you needed space. You let me sit here thinking my wife was leaving me. You sent me that text at work, which, by the way, ruined my entire afternoon. I sat in meetings thinking my marriage was falling apart, wondering what I'd done wrong, trying to figure out how I'd missed the signs. And for what? Entertainment? Validation? Proof that I care about you. I'm sorry. Are you? I looked at her directly. Because I need to understand something, Sarah. Did it occur to you even for a second that this might backfire? That I might not play along with whatever script your friends gave you? She wrapped her arms around herself. Defensive posture. I thought you'd just, I don't know. I thought you'd tell me you love me and that we'd work through it and that would be the end of it. And we couldn't have that conversation without the manipulation. We couldn't just have an honest discussion about feeling disconnected or wanting more romance or whatever the actual issue is. If there even is one. It wasn't supposed to be, but it was. I cut her off. You had your friends coach you. You rehearsed this. You sent me that text at work specifically to make me anxious all afternoon. You sat here waiting for me, playing the role of unhappy wife, all so you could see if I'd perform for you. Do I have that right? Tears were falling now, real ones. I'm sorry, Marcus, I really am. I didn't think, no, you didn't think, that's the problem. I walked back to the chair, sat down. You didn't think about how this would make me feel. You didn't think about the trust you were breaking. You didn't think about what it means to deliberately lie to your spouse for the sake of social validation. You just followed your friend's advice like a teenager trying to get likes on social media. That landed hard. I could see it in her face. The realization, the shame. Who else knows? What? Who else knows about this little experiment? Jessica and Amanda, who else? She hesitated. Sarah, just them. And maybe Chloe. They were going to ask me how it went tonight. I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter, foreign in my own mouth. Fantastic. So you were planning to go debrief with your friends about how your husband reacted to being emotionally manipulated. That's wonderful. That's just perfect. It sounds worse when you say it like that. Because it is worse. I leaned forward. Do you understand what you've done? Do you understand the breach of trust this represents? She was crying harder now. I made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. My voice was cold now, colder than I'd ever heard it. You chose to lie to me, to test me, to treat our marriage like it's some kind of social experiment you can discuss with your friends over wine. You chose to value their opinions over my dignity. You chose performance over partnership. I didn't mean it like that, but you did it anyway. Silence fell, heavy, suffocating. She stood there, crying, waiting for me to comfort her, to tell her it was okay, that we'd get through this, that I forgave her. I didn't move. I just sat there, looking at her, feeling something inside me shift permanently. Not break, not shatter, just shift, like tectonic plates moving. Slow, inevitable, permanent. After a full minute of silence, she wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. So what now? What now? I repeated. Looked at her. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and I need you to answer honestly. Can you do that? Can you be honest with me for once tonight? She nodded. Yes. Do you actually have any real concerns about our marriage? Any actual issues you want to address? Or was this entire thing fabricated for the test? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. There are things we could work on. Specific things, not vague feelings and actual issues that you've thought about and want to change. I don't know, she admitted quietly. I guess I just felt like things were getting stale. Like we were too comfortable, too routine. Comfortable, I said. Stability feels stale to you. When you say it like that, how else should I say it? I stood up, started pacing, not frantically, just moving, needing to move. Sarah, we're married. We're partners. We're supposed to be comfortable with each other. That's not a bad thing. That's the entire point. That's what happens when you build a life with someone. You get comfortable. You get stable. You get routine. That's called security. That's called trust. That's called a functional adult relationship. I know, but your friends convinced you that comfort means complacency, that if I'm not constantly proving my love through grand gestures or emotional performances, I must not care. That if our relationship isn't some dramatic roller coaster of highs and lows, it must not be passionate. Is that about right? She looked at the floor, said nothing. I need to hear you say it. Yes, she whispered. That's what they said. That if you really loved me, you'd be more, I don't know, more demonstrative, more emotional, more intense. I stopped pacing. And instead of talking to me about feeling taken for granted or wanting more romance, or whatever the actual issue was, instead of having a real conversation with your actual husband, you decided to blow up our entire evening with a fake breakup to see if I'd perform on command. Do I have that correct? Yes. Okay. I walked to the door, picked up my keys. Her head snapped up. What? Where are you going? I don't know. For a drive, to think, to process. You wanted space, remember? I'm giving it to you, real space, not performative space. Marcus, wait. I opened the door. Please don't leave like this. I stopped, didn't turn around. Sarah, you just spent the last 20 minutes trying to break up with me as a test. You deliberately caused me pain and anxiety for the sake of validation from friends who apparently have nothing better to do than meddle in our marriage. I think I'm entitled to a few hours to process that. I said I'm sorry. I know, I heard you. I opened the door wider. I'll be back later. We can talk more then. Or not, I haven't decided yet. Marcus, I walked out, closed the door behind me, got in my car, sat there for 30 seconds with my hands on the steering wheel, staring at our house. Then I started the engine and drove away. I drove with no destination in mind, just drove. Through our neighborhood with its neat lawns and identical houses, past the park where we used to have picnics when we were dating, back when everything was new and exciting and we'd spend hours just talking about nothing. Past the coffee shop where I'd proposed, awkwardly, at 7 a.m. on a random Thursday, because I couldn't wait for a special occasion and I'd been carrying the ring in my pocket for 3 days, terrified I'd lose it. Past all the landmarks of our relationship, now recontextualized by tonight's revelation. I ended up at a diner on the edge of town. One of those 24-hour places with cracked vinyl booths and fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look slightly jaundiced. I parked, went inside, slid into a booth in the corner. A waitress appeared, middle-aged woman with tired eyes and a name tag that said Deb. What can I get you, hun? Coffee, black. You want food with that? Just the coffee. She nodded, walked away, came back 30 seconds later with a mug and a pot, poured, left me alone. I wrapped my hands around the mug, felt the heat, stared at the dark liquid like it might have answers. My phone buzzed, Sarah calling. I declined. She called again. I silenced the phone completely. A text came through before I could put it away. Please come home. I'm so sorry this was so stupid. Another, I love you. Please don't hate me. Another, can we please just talk? Another, I'm sorry. I set the phone face down on the table, took a sip of coffee, burned my tongue, didn't care. Here's the thing about trust. It's not binary. It's not broken or whole, working or destroyed. It's a spectrum, a scale, a living thing that can be damaged in degrees. What Sarah had done tonight, that had damaged it. Maybe not catastrophically, maybe not irreparably, but significantly, meaningfully. Because it wasn't just the test itself, it was everything the test represented. The conspiracy, the planning, the involvement of outside parties, the intention to share the results, the willingness to cause me pain for the sake of validation, the choice to listen to friends over trusting her own judgment, the decision to treat our private relationship as entertainment for her social circle. That's what stung, not the test, the context of the test. Our marriage, our private partnership, had become a topic of discussion, a project, a performance piece, something to be analyzed and evaluated and reported on. And the worst part? She'd thought I'd just go along with it, that I'd react predictably, that she could manipulate my emotions and then laugh it off, that I'd be hurt or angry or desperate, and she'd get to feel validated and then everything would go back to normal. She'd underestimated me, completely. She'd assumed I was controllable, predictable, manageable. She'd been wrong. I sat in that diner for 2 hours, drinking coffee, thinking, watching other customers come and go, a trucker getting pie at the counter. A young couple, clearly on a date, laughing too loud, trying too hard. An elderly man reading a newspaper, taking his time with every page. Normal people living normal lives. Not playing games, not testing each other, just existing. At 9:30 p.m., I paid for the coffee. Left a $20 tip because Deb had refilled my mug 6 times without asking questions. Got back in my car, drove home. It was 9:47 p.m. when I pulled into the driveway. The house was lit up, every light on. Sarah was awake, waiting. I sat in the car for a minute, prepared myself, then got out. Walked to the door, used my key, went inside. She was on the couch. Same spot as before, surrounded by tissues, eyes red and swollen. She looked up when I entered. "Marcus?" I held up a hand. "Let me talk first." She nodded, closed her mouth, waited. I took off my jacket, hung it up, walked into the living room, sat in the same chair as before. "I've been thinking," I said, "about what happened tonight, about what it means, about where we go from here." She watched me, silent, barely breathing. "And I need you to understand something. This isn't about the test itself. It's about what the test represents." "Okay," she whispered. "It represents a lack of trust, a lack of communication, a willingness to prioritize your friend's opinions over our relationship's privacy, a willingness to cause me pain for the sake of validation. Those are serious problems, Sarah. Those are relationship-threatening problems." She nodded, new tears falling. "I'm not done." My voice was firm, controlled. "You let other people convince you to toy with my emotions, to lie to me, to create a scenario where I was supposed to dance like a puppet so you could feel secure. Do you understand how fundamentally disrespectful that is? How demeaning, how insulting?" "Yes," she choked out. "I understand. I'm so sorry. And here's what really gets me." I leaned forward. "If you'd just come to me and said, 'Hey, I'm feeling disconnected. Can we work on being more intentional with our relationship?' I would have listened. I would have cared. I would have made changes. I would have planned more date nights, been more affectionate, done whatever you needed. But instead, you chose manipulation. You chose games. You chose to test me rather than trust me." She was sobbing now. Full body sobs. "I don't know what I was thinking." "You weren't thinking, that's the problem. You were reacting to peer pressure, like a teenager, like someone who doesn't have the maturity or confidence to trust their own judgment." That landed hard. I saw it in her face. The recognition, the shame. "So here's what's going to happen," I continued. My voice was calm but immovable. "First, you're going to call Jessica and Amanda right now. Put them on speaker. And you're going to tell them that their advice was terrible, that it nearly destroyed your marriage, and that you won't be participating in any more of their relationship experiments. Ever." Her eyes widened. "Right now? Right now. Marcus, non-negotiable. If you want to fix this, that's step one. You make those calls, you shut down that toxic influence, and you establish that our marriage is not a group project." She stared at me for a long moment, processing. Then, slowly, she picked up her phone. She called Jessica first. Put it on speaker, set the phone on the coffee table between us. 3 rings, then, "Hey, girl." Jessica's voice was bright, eager, excited. "So, how'd it go? Did he freak out? Did he cry? I bet he cried." Sarah's voice was small, broken. "It didn't go well, Jess." "Wait, what? He didn't fight for you? What did he do?" "He figured it out. He knew it was a test." Silence on the other end. Then, slowly, "Oh, shit." "Yeah." Sarah glanced at me. I nodded for her to continue. "And he's really upset. He's right here, actually, listening. And I need to tell you something." "Oh my God, Sarah, you didn't tell him that advice you gave me? It was terrible. It was manipulative and unfair, and it almost ruined my marriage. I never should have listened to you." More silence, then defensively. "We were just trying to help you find out if he really cares. He does care. He shows it every day. I just couldn't see it because you convinced me to look for the wrong things. You made me think that if he wasn't performing emotions on command, he must not love me. And that's garbage. That's toxic garbage." "Sarah, that's not fair. We were just—" "It's completely fair." Sarah's voice was stronger now, angry. "You encouraged me to play games with my husband, to manipulate him, to test him like he's some kind of entertainment. And I'm done with that. I'm done talking about my relationship with you like it's a TV show we can analyze. I'm done letting you convince me that stability is boring and comfort is bad. I'm done. Are you seriously choosing him over your friends right now? I'm choosing my marriage over drama. There's a difference. And if you can't see that, then maybe we need some space." I felt something in my chest. Pride, maybe? Sarah was finding her spine. "Whatever," Jessica said. Cold now. "Hurt. Call me when you come to your senses." The line went dead. Sarah looked at me. Amanda next? Amanda next. She called Amanda. Same routine, speaker on, phone on the table. Amanda answered on the first ring. Sarah, oh my God, tell me everything. How did it go? Was Jessica right? Did he totally melt down? He didn't melt down, Amanda. He figured it out. And he's really hurt. Wait, he figured it out? How? Because he knows me, and he knew I was lying, and now I've broken his trust and I don't know if I can fix it. Okay, but like, if he really loved you, wouldn't he have fought for you anyway? Isn't that the whole point? Sarah looked at me. I kept my expression neutral. This was her conversation. No, Sarah said firmly. Like, that's not the point. The point is that I should trust him enough not to need a test. The point is that manipulation is wrong. The point is that I hurt someone I love because you and Jessica convinced me that games are okay, and they're not. I mean, you were suggesting I disrespect my husband for your entertainment. That's what you were doing. And I went along with it because I was insecure and stupid. But I'm done now. I'm done taking relationship advice from people who think love is supposed to be dramatic and complicated. My marriage isn't your reality show. Amanda was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm sorry you feel that way, Sarah. I really was just trying to help. I know, but your help almost cost me everything. So no more. No more advice. No more discussions about my marriage. No more anything. I need to focus on fixing what I broke. Okay, I guess I'll talk to you later. Maybe. We'll see. Sarah hung up, set the phone down, looked at me with red, swollen eyes. Was that okay? I nodded. That was good. That was a start. She wiped her face with another tissue. What else do I need to do? Now, I said, we talk about real issues, not manufactured drama. Real things. If you feel disconnected, tell me specifically why. If you want more quality time, tell me what that looks like. If you need more romance, more affection, more communication, tell me. Use your words. Like an adult. Like a partner. She nodded. I do want those things. I want us to be more intentional. I want date nights again. Real ones, not just takeout on the couch. I want to feel like we're not just going through the motions, like we're still choosing each other every day. Okay, those are reasonable things. We can work on those. But we do it together, honestly. No games, no tests, no outside voices telling us how to run our marriage. Agreed? Agreed. Fresh tears were falling now, but softer, less panicked. I'm really sorry, Marcus. I was so stupid. You made a bad choice, I corrected. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. But it hurt me, and it's going to take me some time to get past it. To trust you again the way I did before tonight. I understand. Do you? I leaned forward, looked at her directly. Because I need you to really understand this, Sarah. If you ever do something like this again, if you ever test me, manipulate me, or turn our relationship into a performance for your friends, I won't be here for round 2. I won't fight, I won't argue. I'll just be done. I'll respect myself enough to walk away from a relationship where I'm not respected. Do you understand that? She looked shocked, actually shocked, like the possibility had never occurred to her. You'd leave me? I'd leave a situation where my boundaries are repeatedly violated, yes. I'd leave a dynamic where I'm being manipulated or tested or treated like a project instead of a partner. Absolutely. Without question. That sank in. I could see it happening. The realization settling over her features. I would never do this again, she said quietly, voice thick with tears. I swear to you, Marcus, never. This was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I see that now. Good. We sat in silence for a minute. The house was quiet, just the sound of the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the distant bark of a dog outside, normal sounds, regular life sounds. Finally, she asked, can you forgive me? Eventually, I said, not tonight. Tonight I'm still angry, still disappointed, still processing, but eventually, yes. If you prove to me that you've learned from this, if you show me through actions, not just words. How do I do that? By being honest, by communicating directly with me instead of through third parties, by treating me like a partner instead of a project, by respecting our privacy. I stood up. I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight. Marcus, I need space, the real kind. Not the fake kind you tried to test me with, just for tonight. To clear my head, to process everything that happened. Is that okay with you? She nodded miserably. Okay. I walked on toward the hallway, stopped at the doorway, turned back. For what it's worth, I said, you didn't need to test me to know I love you. I show you every day. Maybe not in dramatic ways, maybe not in the ways your friends told you to look for, but I show you. She looked up at me, waiting. I work hard so we're financially secure. I support your career even when it means eating dinner alone, because you're on a deadline. I listen when you talk about your projects, even when I don't understand design terminology. I do the dishes without being asked. I bring you coffee in the morning. I hold you when you're stressed. I'm here. I've always been here consistently, reliably, quietly. But I'm not a performing monkey. I'm your husband. And if quiet, steady love isn't enough for you, if you need constant drama and emotional performances to feel secure, then maybe we do need to have a bigger conversation about compatibility. I left her sitting there, walked to the guest room, closed the door, sat on the bed in the dark, and finally let myself feel it. All of it. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal. Not from infidelity, not from anything big or obvious. From something smaller, but somehow worse. From being treated like I was predictable, controllable, testable. Like a lab rat in someone's experiment. From having my emotions used as entertainment. From not being enough, exactly as I was. I didn't sleep much that night, just lay there in the guest room bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about trust, about marriage, about what happens when outside voices get too loud and drown out the partnership, about whether this was fixable, whether we could come back from this, whether Sarah understood the gravity of what she'd done, or if she was just sorry she got caught, about whether I could forgive her, really forgive her, not just say the words, but actually let it go. I didn't know yet. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway, soft, hesitant. They stopped outside the guest room door. A long pause. Then the footsteps retreated. She'd wanted to come in, to talk, to apologize, again. But she'd respected the boundary I'd set. That was something, small, but something. Next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee, bacon, eggs, Sarah's Sunday breakfast ritual on a Wednesday. I came downstairs. She was at the stove, looking exhausted. Hair in a messy bun. No makeup. Eyes still swollen from crying. She glanced up when I entered. "Morning," she said quietly. "Morning." She plated food, brought it to the table, set it in front of me. Eggs scrambled with cheese the way I liked them. Bacon crispy, toast with butter, hash browns with onions. My exact favorite combination. "I know this doesn't fix anything," she said, "but I wanted to do something to show you, I don't know, that I'm trying." I looked at the plate, then at her. "Thank you." We ate in silence. Not comfortable silence, not hostile either, just heavy, weighted with everything unsaid. Halfway through, she spoke. "I called my therapist this morning, Dr. Morrison, made an appointment for next week." I looked up. Yeah. I think I need to talk to someone about why I let my friends influence me like that. About my own insecurities, about why I felt like I needed to test you instead of just trusting you. Because that's what it was, really. I was insecure, and instead of dealing with it like an adult, I created drama. I nodded slowly. That's good. That's a good step. Will you come with me, eventually, to couples counseling? I think we need it. I think we need help rebuilding what I broke. If you think it would help, I do. Then yes, I'll come. She looked relieved, like she'd been holding her breath. "Thank you, Marcus, for not just giving up, for giving me a chance to fix this." "I haven't decided anything yet," I said honestly. "I'm still processing, still figuring out how I feel about all of this, but I'm willing to try. To see if this is fixable. That's all I can promise right now. That's enough. That's more than I deserve." The days that followed were strange, surreal, like we were learning to be married all over again. We were polite, careful, like two strangers sharing a space, trying not to bump into each other. She gave me space, didn't push for affection or reassurance, didn't ask constantly if I'd forgiven her. Just existed, quietly, trying to prove through action instead of words. She started cooking dinner every night. Not elaborate meals, just regular food. but the gesture was there. She stopped spending so much time on her phone. When we were in the same room, she was present, actually present. She started asking me about my day and really listening to the answers, not just waiting for her turn to talk. Small things. But I noticed them all. A week after the incident, I came home from work to find she'd cleaned out the garage, something I'd been meaning to do for months. She'd organized everything, labeled boxes, made space. "I figured you needed your workbench clear," she said when I found her, "for your woodworking projects." I hadn't touched my woodworking tools in 6 months. Too busy, too tired. But she'd remembered I used to love it. "Thank you," I said. "You're welcome." Another small thing, but it mattered. 2 weeks after the test, she came to me with her phone. "I want to show you something," she said. "You don't have to look if you don't want to, but I want you to know I'm being transparent." She pulled up her messages with Jessica and Amanda, handed me the phone. I hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes. You should see this." I took the phone, scrolled through. The conversation had continued after that night. They'd both been messaging her, trying to reconnect, trying to convince her she'd overreacted. "Jessica, look, I get that you're mad, but he's being controlling. Making you call us like that, making you choose between us, that's a red flag." Sarah, "He's not controlling, he's setting boundaries. There's a difference. And I violated his trust. He has every right to be upset." Amanda, "But we were just trying to help. We care about you." Sarah, "If you cared about me, you wouldn't have encouraged me to manipulate my husband. You would have told me to communicate with him directly." Jessica, "You're really choosing him over us after everything?" Sarah, "I am choosing my marriage over drama. I'm choosing respect over games. I'm choosing growth over toxicity. And if you can't understand that, then yes, I'm choosing him." The conversation had ended there, 2 days ago. Neither Jessica nor Amanda had responded. I handed the phone back. "You cut them off." "I did. They weren't good friends. I see that now. They were, I don't know. They fed on drama, on chaos, on tearing people down instead of building them up. I don't need that in my life." "I'm sorry you lost friends over this." "I'm not. They were toxic. I just couldn't see it because I'd known them for so long. But you were right. They convinced me that stability was boring. That if you weren't constantly proving yourself, you didn't care. And that's such bullshit." I almost smiled. "Language. I mean it. It's complete bullshit. You prove you love me every single day. You just do it quietly. And I'm sorry it took me almost losing you to realize that." 3 weeks after the test, we had our first couples counseling session. The therapist was a middle-aged woman named Dr. Patel. Warm, but direct. The kind of person who doesn't let you hide behind deflection or excuses. Her office was small, comfortable. 2 couches facing each other with a chair in between where she sat. Bookshelves lined with psychology texts. A diffuser in the corner making the room smell like lavender. She asked us to sit. We did. On opposite couches. Maintaining distance. "So," Dr. Patel said, folding her hands in her lap, "why don't you tell me why you're here?" Sarah and I looked at each other. She gestured for me to go first. "We're here because my wife tested me," I said. "She faked wanting to end our marriage to see how I'd react. And it broke something between us. We're trying to figure out if we can fix it." Dr. Patel nodded, looked at Sarah. "Is that accurate?" "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "That's exactly what happened. I listened to bad advice from friends and I hurt him, and now I'm trying to make it right." "Okay, let's start there. Sarah, can you tell me more about why you felt you needed to test your husband?" Sarah took a breath. "I was feeling insecure, like we'd fallen into a routine, like he didn't, I don't know, like he didn't feel things as deeply as I did. He's very calm, very logical. And sometimes I interpreted that as not caring. And rather than discussing these feelings with him directly, you staged a fake breakup." "Yes. Why?" "Because," Sarah paused, thought, "because I didn't think he'd give me a real answer. I thought he'd just say everything was fine, and I'd still feel uncertain. I thought if I tested him, I'd see his real emotions, his real feelings." "And did you?" "Yes, but not the ones I expected." Dr. Patel turned to me. "What did she see, Marcus?" "She saw boundaries," I said. "She saw self-respect. She saw someone who won't be manipulated, even by someone he loves." And how did that make you feel, Sarah? Ashamed, Sarah said immediately, tears in her eyes. Ashamed and stupid and terrified that I destroyed the best thing in my life over something so ridiculous. Dr. Patel nodded, wrote something in her notebook. Marcus, how did you feel when you realized it was a test? Betrayed, I said, voice steady. Not in the traditional sense, but betrayed nonetheless. Like my emotions were a game. Like our private relationship was entertainment for other people. Like I wasn't seen as a full person, just a character in someone else's story that they could manipulate and then laugh about. That's very insightful, Dr. Patel said. You felt objectified. Yes, exactly. She looked at Sarah. Do you understand what he means? Sarah nodded, wiping her eyes. I do now. I treated him like an object, like someone I could control and manipulate for my own validation. It was selfish and cruel, and I hate that I did it. But you recognize it now. Yes, that's important. Growth comes from awareness. The question now is, what are you going to do differently moving forward? We spent the next 45 minutes talking, really talking, about communication, about vulnerability, about expressing needs directly instead of creating tests or games to get them met. Dr. Patel asked hard questions. To Sarah, what makes you feel loved? Quality time, physical affection, words of affirmation. And have you communicated that to Marcus? Not explicitly. I just assumed he knew. Assumption is the enemy of communication. You need to use your words. To me, what makes you feel loved? I thought about it. Acts of service, respect for my time and boundaries, trust. And did you feel those things were missing? No, not before this incident, but the test violated all three. To Sarah, do you hear that? Do you understand that what you did struck at the core of how Marcus experiences love? I do now, Sarah whispered. Dr. Patel looked between us. Here's what I'm observing. You two have different love languages, different communication styles, and instead of talking about that difference, you created a crisis to force a revelation. That's not sustainable. That's not healthy. That's not partnership. I know, Sarah said. So we need to build new patterns, better patterns. You need to learn how to express needs directly, how to ask for what you want without creating drama. And Marcus, you need to learn how to be more emotionally expressive, even when it doesn't come naturally. Not because you should have to perform, but because your partner needs to see your emotions sometimes to feel secure. Can you both do that? We both nodded. Good. Then that's what we'll work on. We left the session drained but hopeful. Drove home in silence. Not uncomfortable silence, just thoughtful. That night, Sarah came to me while I was reading in bed, the guest room bed. I'd been sleeping there for 3 weeks. Can we talk? She got on. Sure. She sat on the edge of the bed. Dr. Patel was right. I need to be more direct, so I'm going to be direct now. I set my book aside. Okay. I miss you, not just being in the same house. I miss us. I miss sleeping next to you. I miss talking before bed. I miss feeling like we're a team instead of two people orbiting each other. And I know I don't have the right to ask for that back yet. I know I need to earn it. But I wanted you to know that's what I want. That's my goal, to get back to being us. I looked at her, really looked at her. She meant it, every word. I miss that too, I admitted. But I'm not ready yet. I'm still processing, still healing. I understand. I just wanted you to know. Thank you for telling me. She stood, started to leave, stopped at the door. Marcus? Yeah. I love you, and I'm going to spend every day proving that I learned from this, that I'm different now, that I'm worth trusting again. I love you too, Sarah. That's why I'm still here. That's why I'm trying. She smiled, small, sad, but real. Then she left, closing the door softly behind her. 4 weeks after the test, something shifted. I came home from work to find candles on the dining table. 2 place settings. Wine. Music playing softly from the speaker in the living room. Sarah appeared from the kitchen. I made dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta, but I wanted to do something nice. I looked at the setup, at her. What's the occasion? No occasion. I just thought we could have a date night. At home, no pressure, no expectations, just us. I set down my briefcase. Okay. We ate, we talked about work, about nothing, about everything. It felt normal. For the first time in a month, it felt normal. After dinner, we moved to the couch. She sat on one end, I sat on the other. Space between us still, but less than before. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. When do you think you'll be ready to forgive me? Really forgive me? I thought about it. I don't know. I'm getting there. It's not a switch I can flip. It's a process. I know. I want to make sure I'm doing the right things, that I'm not pushing too hard or not enough or, Sarah, I cut her off gently. You're doing fine. This is fine. We're healing. It just takes time. She nodded. Okay, time. I can do time. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she spoke again. I've been thinking about what Dr. Patel said, about expressing emotions more, about being vulnerable. Yeah. I want to try something, but I need you to not judge me if it sounds stupid. I won't judge. She took a breath. I want to tell you why I really did it. The real reason, not the surface stuff about insecurity or friends. The actual root of it. Okay. I was scared. I was scared that you were with me out of obligation, out of habit, that you'd proposed because it was the next logical step, and you stayed because leaving would be complicated. I was scared that I loved you more than you loved me. And I thought if I tested you, if I pushed you, I'd see the truth. I'd see if you really cared or if you were just going through the motions. She was crying now. And when you figured it out, when you didn't beg or plead or fall apart, I thought I'd been right. I thought you didn't care enough to fight. But then you set boundaries. You demanded respect. You showed me what real strength looks like, and I realized I'd been looking for the wrong things. That the way you love me is quieter but deeper, more consistent, more real. And I almost threw that away because I was too insecure to see it. I moved closer. Not touching, just closer. I care, Sarah. I've always cared. I'm just not loud about it. That's not who I am. I know that now, and I love that about you. I love that you're steady, that you're calm, that you're the person I can count on when everything else is chaos. I was stupid to want you to be different. You weren't stupid, you were human. You had insecurities. That's normal. You just handled them badly. She laughed through tears. That's the understatement of the century, I smiled. Yeah, it kind of is. 5 weeks after the test, I moved back into our bedroom. Not because everything was perfect. Not because I'd completely forgiven her, but because I wanted to. Because the distance was starting to feel more harmful than protective. That first night, we lay in bed in the dark, not touching, just existing in the same space. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For coming back, for trying, for not giving up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm just moving forward, one day at a time. That's all I can ask for. She reached out, found my hand, held it. I didn't pull away. 6 weeks after the test, we had our second couples counseling session. Dr. Patel noticed the difference immediately. You're sitting closer, she observed. We were. Same couch this time. Not touching, but closer. We're making progress, Sarah said. Tell me about it. We did. We told her about the conversations, the small gestures, the slow rebuilding of trust. That's good, Dr. Patel said. That's healthy. You're both doing the work. But I want to address something. Marcus, you said earlier that you're moving forward. Does that mean you've forgiven Sarah? Or are you still processing? Still processing, I admitted, but I'm closer than I was. What's holding you back? I thought about it. I guess I'm waiting to see if the changes are permanent, if this is real growth or just temporary behavior to get me back. Patel nodded. That's valid. Sarah, how does that make you feel? It makes sense, Sarah said. I broke his trust. He has every right to wait and see if I'm serious. All I can do is prove it through time and action. That's exactly right, Dr. Patel said. Trust is rebuilt through consistency, through showing up every day and doing the work. And Marcus, eventually you'll need to make a choice, to forgive fully or to walk away. You can't stay in this limbo forever. It's not fair to either of you. I know, I said. I'm getting there. 8 weeks after the test, Sarah's cousin got engaged. We were invited to the engagement party. Do you want to go? She asked. I'll understand if you don't, if it's too much. I'll go. We should go. The party was at a restaurant downtown. 30 people, family and friends. The happy couple making rounds, accepting congratulations. We sat at a table with some of Sarah's relatives. Made small talk, ate, drank. At one point, a group of bridesmaids gathered nearby. One of them, a young woman in her 20s, was talking loudly about relationship advice she'd seen online. Have you guys seen that TikTok trend where you fake a breakup to test your boyfriend? It's hilarious. I'm totally going to try it. Sarah stood up, walked over. Don't do that, she said firmly. The bridesmaid blinked. What? Don't test your partner like that. It's manipulative, and it can seriously damage your relationship. Oh, come on, it's just for fun. It's not fun. Sarah's voice was clear, strong. Trust me, I tried it. Nearly lost my husband. Not worth it. The group went quiet. Several people were staring now. One of them asked, "What happened?" Sarah glanced at me. I nodded. She'd asked me before the party if it was okay to talk about it, if it came up. I'd said yes. If it stops one person from making the same mistake, it's worth it. So she told them. Not the whole story, just the important parts. The test, my reaction, the aftermath, the work. When she finished, the room was silent. Then someone said, "Your husband sounds really mature." Sarah smiled, looked at me. "He is. That's why I married him." She came back to the table, sat down, took my hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For letting me tell that story. For not being ashamed of me." "I'm not ashamed of you. I'm proud of you. For owning it. For learning from it. For warning others." She squeezed my hand. 3 months after the test, something happened. I woke up one morning and realized the weight was gone. The heaviness I'd been carrying, the anger, the hurt, the betrayal. It wasn't gone completely. The memory was still there, the knowledge of what happened. But the sharp edges had dulled. The wound had scarred over. I could breathe again. Sarah was still asleep beside me. I watched her for a minute. This woman who'd made a terrible mistake and spent every day since proving she'd learned from it. She'd done the work, really done it. Cut off toxic friends, started therapy, communicated directly, showed up consistently, respected my boundaries, given me space when I needed it and presence when I needed that instead. She'd become a better partner, a better person, and I'd healed. Slowly, gradually, but genuinely. I leaned over, kissed her forehead. She stirred, opened her eyes, and "Morning, morning. You okay?" "Yeah, I'm good." "You sure?" "I'm sure. I forgive you, Sarah." She went still. "What?" "I forgive you, really forgive you. Not just saying the words, I mean it. We're okay." Tears filled her eyes immediately. "Are you serious?" "I'm serious. We're okay. We're us again." She pulled me into a hug, held on tight, cried into my shoulder. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." I held her. "We're good. We're going to be good." And I meant it. Now, a year later, we're in a completely different place. We still do couples therapy, once a month now instead of once a week. Just check-ins, tune-ups, making sure we're staying on track. We do weekly date nights, real ones. Sometimes fancy dinners. Sometimes movie nights at home. Sometimes just walks in the park. We communicate directly, honestly, without games or hints or tests. We're happy, really happy, not perfect, but real. Last month, Sarah came to me with news. "I'm pregnant." I stared at her. "What?" "I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. I wanted to wait to tell you until I was sure everything was okay." I pulled her into a hug. "That's amazing. That's incredible. You're happy?" "I'm thrilled." And I was. Now she's 6 months along. We're having a girl. We've started setting up the nursery, painting walls, building furniture, making plans. We talk about what kind of parents we want to be, what values we want to instill, how we want to raise her. "I want her to be strong," Sarah says, "but kind. To have boundaries, but also compassion. Like her mother," I say, "like both of us." We're sitting on our back porch. It's evening. The sun is setting. Sarah's hand is on her belly. "Marcus?" "Yeah." "Do you think we'll be good parents?" I look at her, this woman who made a terrible choice years ago and spent every day since proving she'd learned from it. "Yes," I say, "I think we'll be great." "How do you know?" "Because we learned how to be honest with each other, how to communicate, how to work through hard things, how to grow. And that's 90% of parenting right there." She smiled. "What's the other 10%? "Coffee. Lots of coffee." She laughs. That real laugh. The one I fell in love with 7 years ago. "I'm glad I didn't lose you," she says quietly. "Me too. Even though I deserved to?" "You didn't deserve to. You deserved a chance to grow. and you took it. You did the work. That matters more than the mistake. She reaches for my hand. I take it. We sit there in the fading light, holding hands, feeling our daughter kick, preparing for the next chapter. Different from where we started, but better. So much better. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay calm when others expect you to break. Sometimes growth comes from crisis. Sometimes the person who tests you ends up learning the most important lesson of all. Choose yourself. Choose honesty. Choose growth. Always.